the best stations nationwide. This is the UK Top 20 Rewind.
Dave Lee Travis, 1967.
Hi, this is DLT. Welcome to two vintage charts from the past here on the UK Top 20 Rewind. Now, as usual, you'll be hearing from Shaun Tilley in a little while. He'll be here in the next hour, in fact, with memories of April 1973. But just before that, it's me with October 1967. Now, the 60s, apart from being the decade when music really started to get interesting, was also a decade where peace was something that the whole world wanted. Joan Baez was arrested as an anti-Vietnam War protester in California. Many other things took place. The first lot of people putting flowers down the barrels of guns appeared. And of course, you would imagine that the song that we're going to hear at number 20 was a hit. Indeed, it sold 7 million copies worldwide. And it stayed at the top of the charts for 4 weeks. If you were going to San Francisco, there was no question about it. Don't go if you've not got a bunch of flowers with you. Down to 16. Let's go to San Francisco from the Flower Pot Men. Number 15 also going down was Homburg from Procol Harum. And just a gentle nudge to remind you, this is the UK Top 20 Rewind. Now, Shaun Tilley will be here later on with April 1973, but now we're in October 1967 with me, DLT. Coming up next is a brand new entry at number 14 from the young lad in the very strange denim hat.
Classic hits on the UK Top 20 Rewind.
Now, as you know, Shaun Tilley is coming up in the last hour of today's programme. Amongst the various people that he's been mingling with, and he does mingle a lot, David Hamilton, Paul Burnett, Roscoe, Tom Brown, there's Andy Peebles, Richard Skinner, Mike Reed, Pete Murray and Tony Blackburn. Adrian Just, as you know, was here last week, because I know you're a regular listener, and now it's me, DLT, with our vintage chart from October 1967.
1967. DLT.
Hi, we're into the last section of the first hour of this programme before Shaun takes over. And, you know, it's only when I'm playing music from this era that I realise how daft the names were. The Box Tops are up next. Alex Chilton, Gary Talley, Bill Cunningham, Danny Smith and Rick Allen. At the time this was peaking at number 5 in Britain, they were busy supporting the Beach Boys on tour. This, of course, being The Letter.
UK Top 20 Rewind. Future number 1.
So what is this future number 1? Well, it came up a whopping 11 places to get to its current position of number 2 and was all set to top the charts for a couple of weeks. But that wasn't till next week. And I'm not here next week, so I can't tell you about that. However, I can tell you about Tony McCauley, who wrote the song, or at least co-wrote it. I recall once at the BBC at Radio 1 coming outside Broadcasting House and seeing Tony McCauley arrive in an old Rolls Royce. I suppose it's old now, but it wouldn't have been old then. And it was driven by what could only be described in the 60s as a dolly bird, wearing very tight white pants and a button-up jacket up the front. I'm getting hot under the collar thinking about this. And knee-length white boots. She parked outside the BBC, she got out, she bent over ever so slightly, opened the door and let Tony McCauley out. I've never forgiven him for that. But I've let him off because he's written some darn good songs, including this one from the Foundations, Baby Now That I've Found You.
UK Top 20 Rewind. High Climber 2.
Baby Now That I've Found You from the Foundations. The highest climber up to number 2 in the charts this week. Well, that is just about it for October 67. Of course, Shaun is getting ready to bring you the top 20 highlights from April 1973 in the next hour. And I can tell you that Richard Skinner and Mike Reed will be guesting once again on the UK Top 20 Rewind next week. I'm going to be back here in a couple of weeks' time. In the meantime, we're going to leave you with the best-selling single from this hour's featured countdown. It's the one that's still at number 1. It is the Bee Gees and Massachusetts.
Les Gray, Rob Davis, Ray Stiles and Dave Mount from Mud with Crazy, which after peaking at number 12 was down to number 14 on this hour's featured classic countdown. It's the UK Top 20 Rewind. Dave Lee Travis was here earlier with chart highlights from October 1967. And right now I'm Shaun Tilley with memories of April 1973. Wings were spending winning their first week on the survey with My Love.
UK Top 20 Rewind. Highest new entry, 13.
It was a busy time for Sir Paul McCartney in April 1973. He just recorded a 1-hour special for British television, plus Wings were also doing well on the album chart with their classic LP Red Rose Speedway. And while all that was going on, there were even rumours of a possible Beatles reunion. Sadly, it never happened, but My Love, the song he wrote for Linda, certainly did. And it was the highest new entry of the week at number 13, eventually going on to secure a number 9 finish. Irish singer Kenny only ever had one UK Top 20 hit, and it was this one, Heart of Stone, which was steadily moving down the chart.
12.
A group who came from Ohio, USA, and featured the talents of Walter Williams and Eddie Levert, the OJs, were their second of 4 UK Top 20 singles between 1972 and 78. That was the biggest, Love Train. It got to number 9, which is where we find it on our chart from April 1973. Little Jimmy Osmond, remember him? Well, he was dribbling down to number 8 with Tweedledee, but next up, it's a former chart topper from Slade descending down the top 20.
7.
So you think I got an evil mind? Well, I'll tell you, honey. My word to all our friends.
Yes, it was Britain's Eurovision Song Contest entry for 1973. Power to all our friends from Sir Cliff Richard. Static at number 4. Right now, get ready for the top 3 singles of the week, and one of the year's biggest pin-ups, Donny Osmond, was sliding down with his former number 1, The 12th of Never, once performed by Cliff, funnily enough.
3.
You ask how much I need you.
Tony Orlando and Dawn on their way up to number 2 with their future chart topper, Tie a Yellow Ribbon. And that's just about it from me, Shaun Tilley, and Dave Lee Travis. Thanks again for listening to this edition of the UK Top 20 Rewind. And next week, I'll be joined by Mike Reid and Richard Skinner. In the meantime, prepare yourself for a close encounter with the biggest and best-selling record from April 1973. Gilbert O'Sullivan with Get Down. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
1.
Told you once before.